Welcome to the Just Being Petty show. I am A.W. Petty, your host. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. So please like and subscribe and help us, you and I, grow this channel together. It really means a lot, and I appreciate all your support. So today, I want to get into the Supreme Court. And the decision that they made in terms of the VRA, Voting Rights Act, and the Louisiana versus Calais ruling, which I think is a bad ruling. I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. But I think it is a bad precedent that they've set. And for these justices, for these justices to say that you no longer need Section 2 because there's no more racism in this country is absurd. It's absurd. It makes no sense. And from what I can see, it's no recourse. It's no recourse for the Democrats to do anything. I think the only thing that can happen is groups or individuals can go and try to sue these different states based on race, and when they're gerrymandering. But that's going to be hard to do as well. But they do have that option. But if they can win it, that's another story. I don't know. But I'm going to go over today. I want to go over today the ruling. I want to go over today what this means for voters in these red states and how this will affect the midterms and elections in the future. So, and just my opinion, I think even if these states, and a lot of them have stopped voting or paused voting to gerrymander these states. I know Louisiana has, and I think Florida's going to do it as well. But what I think, at least in the midterms, is that the Republicans, are so far underwater that it's not going to matter. Because if they're basing things off of 2024 and the votes and the groups that switched over to Trump, that's not going to work. This thing may backfire on these states and on the Supreme Court for making this horrible ruling, because I just think you had Hispanics, you had Arabs that switched over to the Republican Party. You had, I want to say 14 to 24% of blacks that switched and voted for Trump. Why they did that, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the gold gym shoes or if they thought they had something in common with this guy because he was convicted of some crimes, or him writing his name on these checks that they got doing C-19, which if they did research, they would know he didn't do anything. All he did is sign his name. A Democratic Congress had to pass this. So I don't know what the deal was with black men. I have no idea. I was embarrassed by it. But I mean, to each his own. They can vote the way they want to vote. So I don't think it's going to work. I'm hoping it's not going to work in the midterms because people are so pissed. So no matter what, even Republicans are mad at this whole administration, at the Republican Party. So we may be able to squeak through here and then try to work on this down the road and try to fix this. I don't know, but I'm going to get into all of these issues, and I mean, it should be an interesting show today. It may be a little longer than I usually do, but this I thought was very important, and we need to I need to discuss this. So, as you know, April 29th, April 29th, 2026, the Supreme Court in the Louisiana versus Calais effectively gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the VRA, by a 6-3 vote, making it nearly impossible to challenge gerrymandering maps. The ruling voids a requirement for Louisiana to maintain 2 majority black congressional districts, allowing for maps that dilute minority voting powers. That alone, when I hear that, that alone is disturbing. This decision shifts power to Republican-led states and enabling them to aggressively redesign congressional maps to favor GOP candidates nationwide before the upcoming midterm elections. So Section 2 is effectively limited to instances of intentional discrimination, a very high bar to prove. And that's what I was saying. It's a high bar to prove because, I mean, these Republicans are so crooked, and this conservative Supreme Court, they're just as crooked. They're just as crooked. So gutting the voting rights weakens voting rights. The ruling makes it significantly harder to prove the redistricting map violates the VRA based on racial gerrymandering, making it harder to challenge voting maps that dilute minority voting strengths. See, the thing is, like I said earlier, their argument is, oh, it's no more racial issues, it's no more discrimination. We're over that now. We'll never be over that. That'll never be over. As long as people raise their children to be racist, and as long as people are racist, that'll never be over. So for them to say that was really criminal in my eyes. Districts designed to boost minority representation could now be considered fake or illegal, leading to their removal. Increased partisan gerrymandering, the decision allows for more partisan maps to be drawn with a likely increase in Republican-led redistricting, particularly in the South border. See, that's what I'm saying. You say it's no more racism, but they get to gerrymander. How is that fair? I mean, how is that fair? That they can gerrymander all of these districts and stack these districts so they can win. Tell me, how is that fair? The ruling is expected to lead to immediate challenges to maps in other states, potentially impacting Arizona and other areas with significant minority populations. And it could shift power in Congress. It could. I just think we might be all right. I'm praying that we'll be all right for the midterms. Like I said, I think he's done so bad, and the Republican Party is just such a bad party, and they're crooked. And I just think that we may be able to squeak through in the midterms. By reducing the number of major black districts, this ruling could alter the balance of power, making it harder for Democrats to win seats. It's all, man. All of these shows, these last episodes that I have done, it's all about crookedness and just slick con men. And like I said, these Republicans, especially with Trump leading, they're willing to do anything to maintain power. And if we have another 8 years of this, what's going on, with another Republican getting in, with the Republicans holding the Senate and the House, and possibly a Republican becoming president again, all they're going to do is just they're going to rob the country blind. They are going to rob the country blind nonstop. So, I mean, this is discouraging. It really is. I just hope that my thinking is correct in terms of the Republicans being so bad that people are tired of them. Like the Arabs, because the Middle East is worse than it was. The Hispanics, because of this illegal immigration and shutting the border down and all of that. I'm not against shutting the border down, but the process of what they've done to deport people. So I think that may hold strong in terms of us being able to at least get the House. At least get the House. So it empowers states to redraw maps by asserting that a previous, more diverse map was unconstitutionally based on race. So they're going to go through everything. And they're going to go in and say all of these districts need to be gerrymandered. I mean, the Supreme Court has given Trump the power to do what the hell he wants to. Now you've given the Republican Party the same thing to do what they want to do. It's crazy. But people, that's why I say, no matter what, you have to get out and vote. I don't care if it's midterms. I don't care if it's the presidential election. You have to get out and vote. This is what happens when you don't vote. This is what happens when you don't vote. And I don't know what the number was in the last presidential election, but it was a high number of people that didn't vote. I just don't know what it is, and I'm not going to say. The ruling severely limits the ability to challenge redistricting maps that dilute minority voting strengths, setting a high standard that requires proof of intention of discrimination and the reduction of minority representation. The decision paves the way to eliminate majority Black and Latino districts, which will likely result in fewer minority members of Congress and other legislative bodies. So that in itself, when you listen to that in itself sounds racist. That in itself, to me anyway. Republican states now have a green light to dismantle established fair map requirements and increase partisan gerrymandering. The ruling reduces protection against maps drawn purely to secure party power rather than fair representation. So, like I said earlier, following this decision, you're going to have states like Arizona, Florida. Florida is expected to move forward with new maps as well. And that could provide up to 4 additional seats for Republicans. The ruling directly impacts states with racially polarized voting, allowing for the reduction of Black voting power in places like Alabama, Georgia, and Louisiana, and probably nationwide. And like I said, I don't know if it's a benefit or if it's a negative for blue states, because everything that I read, and maybe I didn't read it correctly, but everything I read, they have no benefit in this at all. It doesn't help them one way or another. It hurts them. Other states with pending or potential litigation regarding minority districts, such as Georgia, may see their maps upheld even if they were previously deemed discriminatory. Federal courts will now be less able to act as a backstop against racially targeted map drawings, shifting the power dynamic firmly towards state legislatures. The ruling is seen as a historic setback for voting rights. It's crazy, man. This is crazy. The decision could open the door to broader legal challenges over majority Black and Latino districts across the country. So the Supreme Court is currently a 6-3 conservative majority. It was largely solidified by Republican presidents appointing conservative justices and strategic partisan maneuvering surrounding vacancies. So now I'm going to get into how we got here and how these crooked Republicans played this game. They played it well because they stacked the court well. They stacked it well. So appointing this shift allows the court to influence law in key social and political issues, often overriding precedent. And see, that's what they've done. They've overrode a bunch of precedent, especially with Roe v. Wade. So this Supreme Court is not a Supreme Court that can be trusted. They don't follow the law. They don't follow the law. They follow the money. So the people that are telling them, hey, we need to get rid of this, the ones in these super PACs, that's who they're following. They're not following the law, what they went to school for at all. So, and a lot of this that they're doing, this is why this court is stacked with conservative justices. Republican presidents, Nixon through Trump, have focused on appointing judges with strong conservative records, moving the court further to the right. So let's get into what happened in 2016 in Obama's last year. So in 2016, the Senate blocked. It was a blockade when Republicans in the Senate blocked President Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland, for nearly a year, arguing that a Supreme Court justice should not be confirmed during a presidential election year. So they wouldn't replace a moderate with a moderate. So let's go to 2016 when Trump got in office. And this shows you how dirty Mitch McConnell is. He's a dirty, low-down scoundrel. So the 2016 blockade allowed President Trump to fill a seat that would have gone to a moderate Garland, with the conservative Gorsuch immediately swinging the ideological balance. Now here's where Mitch McConnell was a low-down scoundrel. So now he does a rapid appointment of Amy Coney Barrett. When Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, the Republican Senate confirmed Amy Coney Barrett just days before the 2020 election, contradicting their previous stance on election year appointments. That's where they got that 6-3 majority. And see, here's my problem. Excuse me, I've got a cold, sinus issues, allergies, all of the above. But here's my problem. These guys play dirty, they play to win. And I say this probably just about every episode. The Democrats better wake up. Chuck Schumer, you need to go. You are too soft for this time. You need to go. Get out, go somewhere, go on a farm and relax. We don't need you. And I feel the same way about Hakeem Jeffries, but I've seen some statements he's made lately where he looks like he's getting his traction up under his legs, and he looks like he's doing some things, but I don't know. I just don't know. But the Democrats need to start fighting. They need to start playing dirty, period. So here's another thing. And Democrats do the same thing. But with Kennedy, he strategically retired when the Republican president was in office to ensure a conservative successor. So that's not anything that the Democrats don't do anyway. They do the same thing. It's just a matter of if it's enough time for these guys like Ginsburg. She should have probably got out. She should have probably got out when Obama his last year in 2016. And here's the other thing. Republicans are putting young justices in there. So they'll be on there for 50 years, 40 years, at least 30 years. Because if they're coming in at 50 45, 50. They got a good 30 years to run to be on the Supreme Court. And that's what the Democrats and the Republicans do that throughout the system. In the local, the local level, the appellate courts, they do it in all of these courts. And so the Democrats have to start putting younger people in. I mean, I think they need to be qualified. I'm not so sure all of these Republican appointees are qualified. Like Cannon, I don't think she's qualified. She's a crook just like Trump, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, both parties do that. These justices try to wait until you get a Republican in office or a Democrat in office before they retire. So I don't think that's a big deal. That's probably the same on both sides. Ruling by the conservative majority have upheld gerrymandering districts, which can surpass the voting powers of minorities and make it harder to elect candidates representing them. And that goes back to stacking this court. So here is the deal. So the impact on election outcomes, these decisions, as noted in reporting from the LA Times, have strengthened Republicans' political power, which can lead to voter disenfranchisement and disengagement, creating a cycle that makes future political change harder. So here again, precedent, conservative majority have overturned major precedents, including the expansion of gun rights and abortion rights. And here's another reason that this court is stacked, in my opinion. And I talked about it a few minutes ago. Low voter turnout, particularly in key swing states during presidential elections, has significantly facilitated the appointment of conservative judges to the Supreme Court by enabling the election of Republican presidents. This voter apathy allowed for the confirmation of a conservative majority that has subsequently moved to weaken the Voting Rights Act and shift judicial interpretation. And that's what I'm saying. It's very, very important. If you didn't learn anything from 2024, those that voted for Trump and are not happy with what's going on, and those that didn't vote, period, you need to get out and vote. You must get out and vote. Because if not, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So here's what I was talking about too with these judges, with these justices. I want to talk about the gifts that these people get and how that affects decisions that they make on the court. So several conservative Supreme Court justices have accepted gifts, luxury travel and hospitality. So of course we know Clarence Thomas has accepted the most. So he's accepted millions of dollars in gifts, including private jet travel, luxury accommodations, and tuition payments. And I think those tuition payments were for his nephew, largely from Republican donor Harlan Crow over 2 decades. He has faced scrutiny for not reporting many of these in his financial disclosure. Samuel Alito received at least 16 gifts, over $170,000 during his tenure, including a 2008 Alaskan fishing trip financed by hedge fund billionaire Paul Singer, which was not initially disclosed. Now, Gorsuch received personal, a Louisville Slugger bat, silver julep cups. He has also disclosed significant income, over $900,000, related to book royalties. So here's the deal. I'm going to show the left-leaning too, the gifts that they got. So Kavanaugh received personal Louisville Slugger as well, and I don't know what this Louisville Slugger deal, I don't even know what this is about. Bats and reported payment from conservative publishing company, a conservative publishing company. Amy Coney Barrett reported receiving personalized Louisville Slugger bat. What is this Louisville Slugger bat stuff? I have no idea what this is. So Antonio Scalia, who is deceased, before his passing, he reported receiving 67 gifts worth over $210,000, including hunting trips, firearms, and lodging. Other notables mentioned Justice Antonio Scalia before his death in 2016. Scalia was known to have accepted hundreds of subsidized trips, some paid for by people with potential interest in Supreme Court rulings. And I'm going to touch on that in a minute. So Alito also, I think I said it, accepted flights, including a 2018 trip to Alaska. I talked about that. Some travel lodging in 2023. Tickets to a German music festival. Gorsuch received $500 fishing rod from a Colorado bait and tackle shop in cowboy boots, $699. Some art, $1,000 watercolor painting, travel, teaching, reported multiple paid trips for teaching, including to Germany and Portugal. Let me see. So Roberts received $49,000 in reported gifts, including honorary club membership, a blanket, and a gift basket from Minnesota Law. While some reports indicate he has not participated in the same billionaire buddy luxury travel programs as other justices have, he has faced scrutiny regarding his wife's income and potential conflicts. So let's see. I mentioned Coney Barrett. Yep, I mentioned her. Okay, so here's the liberal Supreme Court justices. They have accepted gifts, including travel, event tickets, and artwork, though generally a lower reported value than some conservative counterparts. So Sotomayor, $16,000 in gifts. Justice Ketanji Brown, $9,000 plus in gifts, including Beyonce tickets. And I think Sotomayor, I think she got tickets for Beyonce too. That's crazy. And the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, $59,000 plus in gifts and travel. Sotomayor, what did she get? I mentioned that. Yeah, I mentioned her. I mentioned Ketanji, artwork. And then they've got retired Justice Stephen Breyer, took at least 225 subsidized trips between 2004 and 2016. Trips including a 2013 trip to Nantucket paid by private equity billionaire David Rubenstein. So here's the deal. So in 2023, people were up in arms in Congress, and they wanted to have a formal code of conduct. So the Supreme Court in 2023 adopted its first ever formal code of conduct following these revelations, although it has been criticized for lacking any enforcement mechanism. Yeah, you could put a code of conduct together, but if it's nothing to enforce it, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. So here's the main thing that I think is important. So it's been discussion about fixing the U.S. Supreme Court, and it's badly needed. It's badly needed. So the primary focus was imposing 18-year term limits, establishing mandatory binding ethics code, and expanding the number of justices, often motivated by concerns over partisan imbalance and low public confidence. And I think that's a good idea, but I thought it was 15 years. I would rather have a 15-year term limit. That's what I would rather have, a 15-term limit. And the thing that this doesn't discuss, someone was talking about a 15-term limit, and each president in each of his terms gets one per term. So Republican will get one his first term, one his second term if he gets to a second term, and the same thing for Democrats. I think that's the way to go. Other proposals include regulating the shadow docket, improving transparency, and enacting legislation to bypass judicial rulings. So key proposals as of April 2026, including term limits, establishing staggered 18-year terms would ensure each president appoints 2 justices, just like I said. I didn't think that was in there, but it is. Per 4-year term, reducing the stakes of each vacancy and preventing lifetime unchecked powers. Implementing an enforceable, transparent code of conduct is a top priority aimed at addressing ethical concerns about gifts, travel, and potential conflict of interest. Court expansion. Increasing the number of justices from 9 to a larger number, 13 or more, to decrease the power of individual justice and reduce political polarization. Shadow docket reform. Limiting the court's use of emergency orders often issued without full briefings or signed opinions to reduce abuse in making major policy decisions. I think that should be at the top of the list as well. Transparency and access. Mandating televised live video coverage of all public court proceedings. Jurisdiction limitations. Congress using its power to restrict the appellate jurisdiction of Supreme Court to prevent it from reviewing certain types of cases. I think that's good. I think that's real good, because if the lower courts can make a ruling and then somebody can just say, I'm gonna take it up to my friend and let him change it. Because they're not basing anything on law. It's all partisan. Period. The Republican conservatives that are on the court now, they're partisan. They're not based on, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, as I said before, they don't seem to be based on law. Creating a judicial countermeasure, process that allows Congress to quickly address or correct rulings where the court has misinterpreted federal law. These proposals are aimed at reforming the Supreme Court's reputation for acting as a political institution and to restore its institutional integrity. I think that should be at the top of the list too. It should be someone, because think about this. The court can make a decision. Who's going to stop them? They're at the top. They're the last resort. They're at the top. So who is going to stop them? You need this checks and balance on the Supreme Court, especially the way it is now. Because these people are partisan. They're not, in my opinion, they're not following the law. So I hope this wasn't too long and bogged and drawn out, but I wanted to talk about this Supreme Court ruling 6-3, Louisiana versus Calais and the Voting Act, because I thought it was important to see where we are here. And I think we're in a bad spot now with this ruling. And I hope the only way that this is going to happen, what I explained to you about the changing of the court and trying to stop this money from going to these gifts from going to the justices, is if a Democrat gets in. If a Democratic president gets in, we get the House and the Senate. That's the only way we have a chance of this happening. If Republicans stay in, this will never happen. So anyway, I just thought I would bring this to you because I thought it was important. So like and subscribe and help us, you and I, grow this channel. And I will see you up the road.